college, I sort of decided, or at least thought about some things I wanted to do. And one was either, going in the Peace Corps, Vista, and another was to be an innkeeper. So I've actually done both. It was time. It sort of looked like, it's a funny story. It actually started, we were thinking about adding a pool to the house, and somehow got from there to let's buy an inn with the pool. So, kind of a crazy, kind of crazy thing. But we looked in New Hampshire. We looked a little bit in Western Mass and Vermont, but definitely preferred New Hampshire. So did most of our search here. And when we bought this, it was uninhabitable. So it didn't look at all like this. It had been closed for 3 years. Foundation had caved in, had raccoons living in the ceiling, total, complete renovation. But it seemed like the right place, it sort of just... It
spoke to you.
It did. It just, with all the land and privacy and, access to 93 and, we looked at a place in Jackson that we liked too, but this seemed like the right place. So we did a renovation for at least the first 6 months. Everything, foundation to roof and everything in between. There was no furniture here. The wall floors went like this. It's sort of, no heat, no water. The well was broken. It had a few flaws. A couple funny stories around that, actually. The woman, when we finally got open, or before opening, the woman that we bought our first towels from, she had a Canon store in Littleton at that point, so things have changed up here a lot, but her husband was a realtor and had tried to sell it, so he had shown it a few times, and so she came and delivered our towels and went back and told him, my God, the place is gorgeous. And he sort of said, what? He didn't believe it. So she called and said, can I bring my husband over to see it? So I said, sure. So anyway, he got to the front door and his mouth opened a foot. And he said, I wouldn't have thought it was possible. So that's how bad it was. Thought the time was right to do something that, an inn where at least advertising was toward, the gay community, women in particular. But we also thought we would come in and, have an inn where, lesbians or, weren't so, not necessarily gay men, but lesbians were, could be here with, lots of straight couples and everyone would get along and, wouldn't it be a great way to sort of help bridge the gaps between people? And what happened was there was such a need for a women's inn that within a couple of years or so, we were 99% women all the time anyway.
Right.
And it just almost, we thought we'd have a 50-50 kind of mix, and it wasn't, it just wasn't. So it's just over the years, it's just become, a women's place. We don't do any advertising other than to the women's community, so. Yeah. But, we thought we'd be the people to bring everyone together, so, and it worked for a while, but when the numbers got, so skewed, it just wasn't, I think, as comfortable. Total shock, and just such an incredibly proud day to be living in New Hampshire as well.
Does that help your business?
Sure. It helps business in terms of marriages. We do have lots of women who come here to get married from out of state. I'd say of our weddings, maybe 5% are from New Hampshire and 95% from other states. Florida and Texas being the biggest, just really skyrocket. Supposedly 65% of New Hampshire folks, or 65% of New Hampshire folks support same-sex marriage. And, 5 years ago, I'm sure it was less, and I'm sure 10 years ago it was way less. And, so people do change. I think part of it is it's educational. It's meeting people, hearing their stories, kind of understanding we're all a little bit more alike than we are different, and that we share some of the, the same love of community and our families and our jobs and that sort of thing. So.